Now, everyone is looking to Friday's big jobs report here in the U.S. And one thing to consider when you're playing the forecasting game is the track record in January. Our own Sara Eisen has been looking at this angle. Sara, what does history tell us?
Well, you know, predicting jobs numbers can be like throwing a dart blindfolded. Still, if you're looking for clues, consider this. January is typically not a good month for jobs creation. In fact, Scarlett, over the last 70 years, if you look at the records, January has lost jobs. Now, that's unseasonably adjusted, of course, and that makes sense. You've got post-holiday layoffs in retail, seasonal downturn in construction, and companies purge payrolls of workers that passed away during the year. Next, pros look at the government's estimation of how many jobs were created from new businesses versus how many were lost from failed businesses. January has a pretty miserable track record on this front as well in the so-called birth-death model. Failed businesses knocked at least 150,000 jobs off of January payrolls every year going back to 2004. So that's a potential game changer here this year. Also, there's the weather. We know that January is very cold. Goldman Sachs pointing out that this past January's unseasonably cold weather could have a very large negative effect on January's number. One of the main reasons Goldman is betting on negative 25,000 payrolls for January. And of course, that is worse than the average consensus of the economists that we surveyed here at Bloomberg, expecting a gain of 15,000 payrolls. So add it all up, and you've got a pretty negative effect there for January.
Okay, so there are a lot of estimates that go into this jobs number, perhaps more in January than other times of the year. But what else is atypical about this January report that we should be on the watch for?
Census hirings. A lot of economists tell me they have to factor that into this January's reading, and that is that the Bureau of Census was going to hire hundreds and thousands of employees this year. Most of those jobs should come in the springtime, I'm told, but it could start having an impact as early as January and could start adding as much as 10 to 20,000 new jobs this year. So that's a potential positive, and you can weigh that with all the negatives of the January effect.
All right, thank you so much, Sara Eisen, for us on a preview of tomorrow's big jobs report.